Hi, I'm Gene McLaughlin. I'd like to welcome you to Council Candidates 2017. On November 7th, Old Bridge voters will go to the polls to elect 6 candidates to the ward seats on the Township Council. We're going to bring you interviews with all of these candidates here on Old Bridge Television. Our purpose is to let you hear the candidates' views on the key issues facing the Township and their ward, and to make you a more informed voter on November 7th. Today, our guests are from Ward 2. I'd like to introduce Mary Sohor, who is a Republican candidate and an incumbent, and the Democratic candidate, Zishan Siddiqui. And I'd like to welcome both of you folks. Thank you for coming out and taking your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Zishan, if I may begin with you, tell us a little bit about your background. You're a sort of newcomer to the political scene here. First, a little something personal, perhaps, your family, how long in Old Bridge?
I've been in Old Bridge for 26 years. I moved from Queens, New York, and been living here since. When time came to purchase my own home, we decided to stay in Old Bridge, and I was fortunate enough that my wife agreed with me. We purchased our home in Cedar Ridge Estates, and I've been there for 13 years with my lovely wife, Zainab. We have 2 cats, 3 cockatiels. Okay. No kids yet, but looking forward to starting a family. But until then, we're enjoying our fluffy friends.
Okay, well, thank you. How about your profession, your job? What do you do when you're not running for office?
I have a IT consulting company that I started back when I was in college. Established, and within 5 years we had a revenue of $10 million.
Really?
And currently I'm working for the U.S. Navy. I'm a project manager and a business and intelligence architect. I can't divulge any more.
Okay, no, that's understandable. Is your background, you have a degree in architecture? Or
I have a degree in computer science and finance.
Okay, well, thank you. Mary, this will be your 3rd term if you're reelected. You've been there for 8 years.
Yes.
Long time on the council. What have you learned from those 8 years?
You know, Gene, it is a learning time, and I learned a lot. I learned, first of all, that government takes its time and that you need to work within the frame of government. I learned how to be a good listener, to try to listen to my co-counsel, try to understand, what the issues are, and how to do my homework so that I know how to go out there and take care of issues. And I think that's important, to listen and to be able to sit back, learn, and to have the patience for taking care of the residents and their needs. It's quite a bit of work, and I really do enjoy it, but I've learned a lot over the last 8 years.
Well, I bet you have. I bet you have. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
Zishan, what strength or expertise do you think you bring to the council?
Like I said, my business skill and my finance background. I think those would be my top skills. But I've been involved in a lot of charitable organizations. I'm also on the board of various nonprofit organizations, and I've been volunteering a lot of hours to them. Educating, doing a lot of cybersecurity training, doing other IT-related training to help people get a better jobs out there that are looking for it. Because obviously, things are shifting to the IT.
Yes, definitely. It seems to be the business today, the IT business.
Right. And then, so while I was volunteering, I got involved in a local Sunday school. I was a principal and a teacher there as well.
Okay, thank you. Mary, in your time on the council, what was your biggest satisfaction, would you say?
You know what, Gene, I thought about that. There's so many, but just to name a few, if we were to tonight just look outside this window, you would see a beautiful piece of property, and it's called the Cottrell Farms.
Okay.
Several years ago, it had been discussed that perhaps a developer would come and, develop the property.
Yes, ma'am. It's been talked about a long time.
Yeah, and I think that would have been a sin. So I'm proud to say that I was on the council that voted to acquire that Cottrell farm for our open space. So that will be preserved forever, and I think that is something for the entire town,
Right.
you know, that to be very, very pleased with. Also, right next to it, there's a smaller piece of property, and that was slated for development. It was supposed to have 12 townhomes put
Yes,
on it.
yes.
So we went up to the freeholder board, the township, and there was, we did a deal where now that's part also of our inventory of open space. So that whole area will be preserved forever. And I think that's something to be a big satisfaction for me. And, you know, there's a lot of them. The radio system that we put in for the 911 for the first responders. That was something, again, too, that, you know, was in such need of repair and replacement, and we did. So now I feel that our people that go out there and put their lives on the line have the state-of-the-art equipment,
Right,
you know, to deal with all the issues. So that's a good thing. I'm very proud of the Clean Communities program, you know, where we go and their grants are given to the different volunteer organizations, you know, for road cleanups. That was a model for the state that I co-founded with Debbie Walker. So there's so many things, you know, all the improvements we've done on the roads. I mean, and not to mention the financial stability we're in. At one point in time, prior to this administration, we were funding payroll by selling land.
I recall.
It had become,
Yep.
it was really crazy. So we made the hard decisions, and we put our financial house in order, and I think now we're in a very good, stable position, you know, so I'm proud of all of those things.
Okay, well, thank you, Mary. Zishan, as you look at the township as a candidate, you look at the township, the big picture of Old Bridge, you'd be one of 9 on the council, but you'd still be involved with the total township. What kind of challenges do you see out there now? Mary mentioned some things that the council has done. What do you see as challenges coming up?
While talking to a lot of the neighbors across town, obviously taxes are on the top slate. You know, what we're trying to do is if we bring more commercial ratables into town, we can kind of offset some of the taxes off of, and less burden on the property taxes. You know, the other things that people that do mention is bulk pickup. Our neighboring towns have bulk pickup. And, you know, they state we haven't had that. Why can't we get that? And I think a lot of people did mention that, you know, 4 years ago or 8 years ago, they were mentioned that it's going to come. There are going to be some opportunities to kind of leverage, you know, using maybe Matawan or maybe using Sayreville or using some type of shared services where we can do that. Or maybe use, you know, something, it doesn't have to be every month, maybe quarterly or every 6 months.
Okay, how about open space? You have a position or a thought on open space? Has that
Open
been an issue for you?
It has. I mean,
township-wise?
especially you know, talking to the neighbors in Ward 2.
Yeah.
They you know, the reason why they moved there is because of the open spaces. You know, we want to promote open spaces while bringing in businesses as well. You know, so Ward 2, you know, wants to have their house there. That's why they moved in there.
So the concerns of Ward 2 are pretty similar to the broad township concerns, I hear you saying.
Right.
Mary, would you agree with that? What do you think the big challenges now coming up? You've talked about some of the accomplishments coming up, looking ahead. What do you think township-wide?
Well, I think one of the big challenges that's facing us is going to be the COA settlement that was struck.
Is that ever going to be settled?
Well, for the record, Gene,
Right.
I'm not in favor of COA.
Right.
I feel that towns should be able to decide for themselves how, where, and when they want to build, you know, through their local boards, zoning, planning,
Yes, ma'am.
and so on. That being said, the state had a different view, the courts,
Yeah.
and they gave us a number, each municipality, of what they thought was our fair share. And I have to tell you, ours was close to 700 units, and I thought that was very high. So my gut instinct was to say, let's fight it. So there was a discussion at the council, but the majority of the council decided to accept the settlement. Myself, Councilwoman Walker, and Dr. Greenberg Belli voted no. So once it was settled, now you have to come up with a plan. And the plan has to show how you're going to meet your commitment. Well, the plan shows, is calling for 3,500 apartments. I'm not against apartments. We have 6,000 already in town.
Right.
I just think that number would put a very large burden on the infrastructure, and it would make it very difficult for the schools and, you know, volunteer fire, the police. It's going to be a very difficult thing to get our arms around.
Yeah, it seems to be, Mary. Has it finally been settled, though?
Well,
Or is it still up in the air? It seems like it's still floating around.
Well, the thing is this, though. At the state level, there is a movement among the legislators, some of them, to try to get this reversed. And, if that would happen,
Yes,
that
ma'am.
would be the best thing.
Right.
But that being said, South Brunswick, a local municipality, is in court. So let's see how they make out. Maybe we can, if they get a better settlement, maybe we could as well.
Okay.
And then, you know what, locally, just go to all the planning board, zoning board meetings to make sure we're represented and the residents know what's going on. It's
Okay.
going to be challenging.
Okay, thank you. Zishan, you have a position on the COA. As you may have seen or heard, it's been a third rail here for some time in the township. You have a position on it. Mary espoused her position. You have a thought?
Well, I'm an advocate for our residents and as well as for the rental residents as well. The thing is, you should have a mixture of rental properties and townhouses. When you have that, from townhouses, you can get some taxable income that's coming in that's going to offset some of the issues that are happening. Obviously, with all these homes that are coming in, we're talking about 3,500 homes,
Right.
or 3,500 COAs. Obviously, you're going to have more cars, more population,
Right.
and overburdening the schools. You're going to have more police officers and first responders and whatnot. So, we do need to have a mixture of both.
But how would you see it being settled? Do you have a position? If you were on the council, what would your position be? Like Mary is against the current situation. Would you be against it for it, or?
I am against it as well.
You would be against it as well. Okay, thank you. Mary, one thing we didn't touch on, Ward 2. What are your voters telling you in Ward 2? Now, you've been there a while. What are they telling you? Anything different than the township issues or specific to Ward 2?
Well, you know what, Gene, a lot of things hinge on, again, the part of Ward 2 you're in. Certain areas of Ward 2 right now, there's a lot of issues with traffic, down along Morganville Road. There's
Yes.
speeding around the area where you live. That's an issue. Then when you come up on 516, there's another issue there because they built that Vision Streams. So there's some traffic coming in and out of there that people have concerns
Yeah.
about. As you go from different places in different areas, it goes all the way down to Spring Valley Road. Those people down there by Plaza Grand still would like to see a smart light on Route 9. The people at Inverness, where you cross over from the park and ride.
Oh, yeah,
We've
definitely,
increased
yeah.
the lighting. We've done a lot of upgrades, but they still would like to see a little more lighting down there. You make it a little safer. So as you travel the ward from area to area, there are, sometimes...
Yeah, it's specific to Ward 2.
Yeah, they are sometimes, And
Right.
then you have the major ones, of course. You have, the issue of taxes and the issue of the drug situation that we have in
Well,
town.
that was one
Now,
of the things.
That's what binds everybody, I think, together. Gene,
Right,
the
and I
whole-
think we'll address that if you just hold that thought.
Yeah, that's...
Folks, we're getting ready to take a break right now. Please stay with us. We're talking with our candidates from Ward 2, Mary Sohor, the Republican, the incumbent, and the challenger, the Democrat, Zishan Siddiqui. Stay with us and we'll be back in a moment.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Everybody has a dream. My
mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Folks, welcome back to Council Candidates 2017. As I said earlier, our candidates are from Ward 2, Mary Sohor, the Republican incumbent, and the challenger, Zishan Siddiqui. Folks, thank you again for being here. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Chief.
Before we went to the break, we started to just touch a little bit on opioid abuse. What do you think, Mary? What can we do about this? It's without a doubt a scandal. It's a scourge. What do we do?
Well, first of all, Gene, I think we're doing the right thing by addressing it. You know, sometimes some places will kind of try to sweep it under the carpet, and I'm not in favor of that at all. We have a great group here, an advocacy group. It's called Families Against Addiction.
Yes.
And they have done a phenomenal job in bringing it to the forefront and in a positive way. And I think that the administration, the mayor, the council have really been very responsive to, you know, talking about it. We've been with the Municipal Alliance, Karen Tortorisi.
Right.
We have had meetings with the school, you know, the boards, the Board of Ed, and having conversations about what's going on. We've had guest speakers come. We invite all the town to come. You know, there was one program called In Plain Sight. Educating, that's the big thing. I think we need to educate the public on how serious this is and how to try to avoid it. I mean, we have the drop box here.
Yes.
You know, for all the pills and, you know, the prescription drugs.
Yes, ma'am.
But I think we need to continue on with the education. I think we need to come together as a group, the police, you know, the schools, and try to make this something that we all work on together. People are in need. They need to know we're there for them. And it's, as council people, we have to respond to this. This is our town, and we need to work on this situation.
Okay.
To try to make things better.
Thank you, Mary. Zishan, you are a newcomer to the scene. You may have a different perspective, a different set of eyes looking at this problem. What do you think with the opioid abuse? How do we handle this?
I think the first thing is awareness and accepting that there is an issue out there. One of my friends actually had, he was addicted to opioids.
Really?
And, you know, after talking to his family and talking to his siblings and parents, you know, they weren't accepting of it, that not my son. But, you know, eventually I lost a good friend to...
You lost him?
Personally.
Well, yeah, there seems to be this umbrella of shame around anyone addicted as opposed to needing treatment, needing help.
Right.
That's the thing.
So, you know, first of all, awareness and education is a big thing. Educate, enforce, and treatment. You know, those are the three things that while I'm talking to our neighbors, while I'm going door to door, a lot of people are talking about that. What are our next steps? What are we doing with that? You know, it's just not an Old Bridge issue.
No, it's a national issue.
National issue.
National issue.
You know, I have a lot of friends that have organizations in Monmouth County and Middlesex County that are willing to help us out, willing to come to Old Bridge. I have a lot of psychologists and psychiatrists that want to help out, give their hours and volunteer. So, you know, it's not something that's going to cost Old Bridge. So, you know, and one of the parents actually suggested that there should be a mandatory class in middle school before they go into high school.
That's a good idea.
Parent and the child should both sign off before they enter high school.
Okay, is this something that the council should push, you think?
I think
push hard on.
They should, yeah. But everyone needs to be on the same page.
Right.
You know, obviously we need to do our due diligence and work with the Board of Education, work with the schools, work with the rest of the town, make sure everyone's aware of what the crisis is all about.
Okay, thank you, Zishan. You know, it does seem that everybody is behind this movement right now. It seems to be the new thing that everybody's talking about. The mayor is very enthused about it. And as you mentioned, the players involved, the school, Karen, Municipal Alliance, and so on. it is an ongoing problem. I'm sure we'll be talking about it a lot more.
Unfortunately,
Until we
yes.
can get the spotlight off and get these kids re-educated and reoriented, from where it is now. Okay, a couple other things, if I may touch on them. A lot of times, and Mary, you can probably touch on this, a lot of criticism that things that come before the council are politicized instead of being treated as township-wide issues that we've just discussed. It becomes a Republican issue, a Democratic issue. I'm sure you've observed it if you watch the council meetings. You've been at the council meetings.
Yes.
How do you solve that? How do you break that up? How do you get a township-wide perspective?
I mean, many of the issues, I mean, it's an overall issue for the residents of Old Bridge. I think all these issues should be a bipartisan issue. And, and that majority of the time, the council meetings, I've seen that in the past few years that they just don't have the respect for the people that are there. And I've seen a lot of quarreling and bickering and whatnot. So we want to make it more conducive and be more friendly to the public.
Okay, and Mary, I see you sitting up there. You must have a definite perspective on this.
Well, you know what, Gene, I agree with you. It really shouldn't be, there shouldn't be these kind of, issues between the Republicans and Democrats, not on the township-wide problems.
Yeah, they are. Many of them, as Zishan said, are township-wide issues.
And I really think that I try to keep it in the frame of mind that I'm here for the residents in the ward and in the town. I think if you try to keep that kind of a mind frame and you respect each other, that we're going to be successful in what we do. And I think, yes, there has been times where there has been some controversy of late, but I think that's all changing, and I think that people are really now just focusing in on the problems. I know I am, because we have that, especially this one with the opioids. We have a big problem. So we have to go past the party lines. The only thing is sometimes the silly season is here. When the silly season
when the voting
comes
starts,
in October,
and their campaigning starts.
You know that
Right.
that's at that time it can get contentious again. But I always try to show my residents respect, and I really do feel I give out respect, and I, to everyone on that council, I try my best not to make it a partisan issue.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Shan, do you think one person sitting up there can make a difference, 1 in 9? Do you think you can sway opinion, you can mold opinion, agendas, and so on? You think it's a task that's accomplishable?
I think one person can definitely make a difference, depending on how you voice out, how you mold and talk about the issue. Even in my personal experience, even at work. There's a lot of cases that you might have when you're in a meeting. You might have 10 people there, but one person can't make a difference.
And Mary, you've been there. You think so?
Absolutely.
With even some of this compartmentalization and
Yeah.
partisanship, you
No,
think?
I do. Absolutely. I think a strong voice, if you're passionate about something, certain issues like we started out this year with the TNR, the Chap Neuter Release Program.
Yes.
And in the beginning, it was met with, some questions,
Yes.
a little bit of resistance, shall we say. And one voice started, Dr. Greenberg, and then that followed with 2. Mrs. Walker, myself, 3. That first voice, you can affect change. You really, really can. And I think that if you are passionate in what you're doing, if you plead your case that way, sometimes you can change a whole room of people. Absolutely. One voice, very important.
One voice can do it. Okay.
Yep.
See, Shan, one other thing. We've talked about a lot of issues. You've talked a lot of issues in Ward 2. Is there any particular issue that you would focus on, specialize in if you got on the council? One that you would take to your own?
I think, like we talked about, obviously people talking about taxes and overdevelopment, recreation, and opiates. But a lot of people are talking about having more recreational facilities in town.
Okay.
There's a lot of youth as well as our senior citizens that want to have a safe and fun outlet to go to. And I think that's something that we need. We haven't had anything in the past 6 years. No new recreational development.
Really?
A lot of people are asking for, like a family park type of thing, where they have where they can go have family activities, but also go and do some grilling if you have to, make a burger or something like that. But I think also when you have these outlets. This can also go into where having a drug-free environment as well. Because the more socializing activities you have, the more you can talk to people, and less you are on the drug case.
Okay, thank you. Mary, is Ward 2 bereft, if you will, of recreational activity? Because it seems to me that there's been a lot of recreational things happening in the township in the last 6-7 years.
Yeah, no.
Menino Park,
yeah, I
Phillips
think
Preserve,
there's been a lot,
Dyke Park.
And a lot of things too go on in places
Or
as
is
far
Ward
as the
2
seniors is
just-
concerned too, is the library. I mean, the
Yes, ma'am.
library has come into its own over the last few years, and
Yes.
it has become so vital. And people love the library. They do concerts, jazz concerts. They have crafts for the kids. They have reading time for children. They have senior citizen time. I mean, there is a myriad of things that you can do at the library, and they're basically all free. So to me, that's a big thing. We also, this past year, came up with the synthetic ice for
Yes,
the
yeah. I
for
forgot
the
about
ice
that,
arena.
yeah.
So now in the summer, you can also, the teams can go there and they can practice, and this is
Right.
another thing for the children over the summer that are the sports enthusiasts. So that I thought was very big too. I think Dyke Park is wonderful. You can go up by Camp Robin over there. There's a place that you can grill, and you can have picnics, and and so on.
Right.
I mean, can we increase things? Of course, we can always do more, but I really do think that as far as the fields at Menino Park, we have really made a lot of progress on on the side.
Yeah, I
of
was just
that.
wondering if Ward 2 was neglected in this whole mix.
No, I don't.
you know.
I really think naturally we could always do more. The soccer
Yeah.
fields can have some
Right.
upgrading done. Things like that.
Yes, ma'am.
But I do think we are trying to provide more recreation, and and we have accomplished a lot over the last few years.
Okay, well, thank you. One last question, if I may. There's a governor's race at the top of the ticket this year. Zishan as the challenger. What do you think? Is this going to impact your candidacy with a Democratic or a Republican member at the top of the ticket?
It may or may not.
It will help you, hurt you. You have any idea?
It may or may not, but I'm concentrating more on Old Bridge, and just trying to talk to our neighbors, what they're concerned about, solving their issues.
Okay, thank you. Mary?
Yeah, I basically feel the same way.
Same way?
I
Old
think
Bridge first.
Old Bridge first, putting our residents and their needs first. Yes.
Okay, well, good. Thank you. We're coming to the close of our program. I'm going to ask you to do one thing for me. If you would just tell the voters, tell your residents why they should elect you to the council.
Okay, my name is Zishan Siddiqui. I'm very passionate about serving the community, and I've served on a lot of boards, on doing a lot of charity work, and I want to help out the community. I'm available 24/7, 365 days a year. I'm only a phone call away. They can call me whenever they want, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'll be there first thing. To help them out, so I am accessible. So I would encourage the voters to go out November 7th and vote their conscience, do their research on me, and go out and vote.
Okay, thank you for that. Mary, why should they send you back for a third term?
Well, I'm Mary Sohor, and I think I have a proven track record. I think I've been a very strong voice for Ward 2, and I would like to continue to be that strong voice, Gene.
Okay.
I think I've done many positive initiatives, both for the ward and for all of Old Bridge. I'll work very hard, and anytime anybody has any needs or problems, they can come and see me. I will work very hard for the residents. I would be very proud and honored if this November 7th they came out and voted for me.
Okay, well said, folks. Thank you very much. I want to thank you both for coming in tonight. I know you're very busy. And folks, that's our program for this time. Our candidates, once again, the Ward 2 candidate, the Republican, the incumbent, Mary Sohor, and the Democratic challenger, Zishan Siddiqui. Please continue to watch Old Bridge Television. We'll be bringing you interviews with all of the candidates. You can check the bulletin board for the exact time when your candidate will appear. And remember, please vote on November 7th. One vote can and has made a difference. I want to thank you again for watching. I'm Gene McLaughlin. Take care.